everyone. Welcome to Real and Raw. And I am Lynn, and you are
I'm Brian. Day two.
day two, Mr. Smiley. How are you today?
Okay, got a lot going on. How about yourself?
Oh, same here. Same here. Just everything's all about prepping and getting ready for that big trip. So
Mm-hmm.
busy, busy.
Oh, yeah.
3 weeks from today, I will be out on the road.
Nice. Very nice.
Yeah. Time just goes by super fast anymore.
Mm-hmm.
The older you get. I remember
Yep.
back in the day waiting for Christmas as a little kid. That took forever, didn't it? You remember that?
No, because I was a little mischievous as a kid, so Christmas really, Christmas had a different meaning.
So, did
Yeah.
you like open your presents before you were supposed to and stuff?
I found my presents before they were wrapped, and then there was hopefully we don't have any people that still believe in Santa Claus because I might demystify that. Um, I actually saw my parents actually put the presents underneath the. They thought they put me to bed, but I'm at the top of the steps watching them put them underneath the Christmas tree. And then one year, I was up in my room and I should have been sleeping, but my dad was making footprints outside in the snow as if Santa Claus came here. And yeah, so I've had a different experience about the good old Saint Nick. Yeah.
So, but you didn't. The whole concept of getting presents around that time of year, did you not get excited, or because you already knew what you were getting?
I
It
did.
just
I mean, I did, but as I get older, it's less about the gifts and more about the people.
yeah. Hi, Scott Ricard.
What's up, Scott? Happy to have
Yeah.
you here with us.
Scott, you need to be on our show some Friday,
Heck
sometime
yeah.
in the future. Thank you for always being here. We appreciate you.
Yeah.
So yeah, well, like I said, it's one of those things you get the older you get, the faster it goes.
Oh yeah.
So-
Well, but it can be whatever you make of it.
oh, absolutely,
You know,
absolutely.
it can be a grind or it can be the best days of your life. It's just a matter of how you view it.
Oh yeah, I'm just saying it goes by so fast. Next thing you know, I'll be saying I've been back 2 months from my trip.
Hmm.
You know, it's just that's
That
how
means you
fast.
need to take another trip then.
Yeah, right. So, but yeah, this week's topic, simplicity, day two, in friendship and relationships. And let's see here. Sandy, we're excited. We're going to have Sandy this Friday with us. And I'll get to meet her in person in, well, in about 3 weeks and 2 days. It'll be exciting.
Hmm.
So, but, anyways, oh, there's Helen. Hi,
What's up,
Helen.
Alan? Hey, hey.
Nice, nice to have you here too.
Hmm.
So, Sandy's excited too. Yay.
Look at those green tinted sunglasses on her profile picture. Those are
I
fun.
know, right? Those are so stinking awesome. She said she can't wait. I think she can't wait to be on our show and she can't wait to meet me. So,
I think she's ready to just let loose and be uh, fancy free, carefree and fancy free. That's what.
yeah, she was just in Florida where I'm heading. So, and you see that, look how fast that went. She went there and I think she's back already. So,
Yeah, well, it
time
happens.
goes time goes by too fast.
Hmm.
So, welcome everybody that's here. We're happy to have you here without
Hmm.
a doubt. And so the whole thing with friendships and relationships. I don't know why naturally we try to complicate things, but it can really be as simple as we want it to be.
Well, I don't think that we want to stand up for ourselves because we don't want to be the odd person or we don't want to be the person that sets boundaries. But then we can't blame other people when they take advantage of us.
Yeah,
I mean, if you don't stand up for something, you're going to fall for anything.
absolutely.
You know,
Florida is awesome.
and it see, I call myself. It fascinates me when it's like when somebody doesn't have boundaries or they haven't set parameters on how far they'll go with a friendship or relationship, and then when somebody take when they feel like they're taken advantage of, then they make the other person wrong. Or
Yeah.
wait a minute, that's a two-way street. Mr. Casey's here, Larry.
Hi, Larry.
So when it comes to friendships or relationships, if you don't put up boundaries, don't be surprised if people try to push that envelope, and then you find out down the road that, let's say you're dealing with something that's important to you, and that you really need somebody just to listen, and you find out who they really are, and they're not who you thought they were.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a common thing. And then with society, as far as, on the internet, we get to know a lot of people right away. I mean, just hi, how you doing? And then you never have time to talk to them
Right.
until they're selling you something or something's going on,
Yeah. I
What?
love playing look for a sugar daddy. The relationship is safer, less boundary. Yeah.
Oh my God.
I don't really know if I would really recommend that advice, Helen. But, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's too funny.
It's like, no, I want you for all the goodies you can bring me. I really don't want to have anything to do with you otherwise.
Yeah. No,
Everybody's got their own motivation. It's all good.
yeah, for sure. But yeah, to me, see, she just want to be funny. She's just laughing her ass off.
Yeah.
So she want to see our reaction.
Helen, man, now you gave me the tip of the day. If that's all it is, like, how come I didn't think it? No, that's not how I roll. Yeah. Plus, I have a great girlfriend, so yeah.
That's right. She's adorable.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love it. She goes, yes. No, but seriously, I don't subscribe to the complication of relationship. I mean, I just look at when people are being so transparent, I take note. And I'm like, all righty then. And I just, and I just let it be. I'm like,
over the years, I've found that it's like if somebody asks for what they want and then you give them what they want and then they're not used to it, or they don't, or they have a tough time taking it, it's like, well, here's what you asked for and I'm giving it to you. You know what I mean? My pleasure to help you. Thanks, Helen, for the reminder. I really appreciate it.
Oh my gosh.
I can't say that I've ever that those words ever came out of my mouth as I had one of those, like a sugar mama. That's never been my MO, but thanks for putting it out there for us to consider.
Oh my God.
I'm saying sometimes it might come in handy for somebody, but not this guy.
Yeah. Oh my God.
I can't speak for our audience because everybody's in different parts of their, different stages of their life. So I know that's not going to be this guy. That would feel weird.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. Well, anyhow, yeah, it is one of those things where people they make things as
like a sugar daddy. Where is he?
Well,
in Kansas City area, you can't find somebody like you and Tammy Storm couldn't go out and find some fellas, or
well. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, imagine if I'd be curious, like if there's an app out there, you know what I mean? Like with all of the, quick hookups, and all the different dating sites. I'd be surprised if there wasn't. Yeah. Remember Lynn and Got Wood? Humor is needed. I'd wonder if there has to be like a platform out there for sugar mamas and sugar daddies.
Actually, I think there is, but that's beside the point.
Oh, well, it's kind of curious. It's kind of interesting that you know that.
Well, actually, I knew that when I was doing my lingerie business. Oh. And boy, this is really going out of the deep end here, but vulnerability it is. No, it was funny because I would do my homework. I'd always worried that I'd go into a party and feel like very, very like out of my comfort zone. So like
you out of your comfort zone? Are you serious?
No, I'm dead serious.
Is that a rhetorical question?
No, I'm dead serious. And so I would actually go on Google this is back in the day, and I would look up like all different things from BDSM to swingers to sugar daddies and all these different things to find out who in the community, of 100,000 people, what they were into. So when because I would advertise in the Penny Saver front page, and so I never knew who these people are. So I'd have to do my homework and find out what kind of people, because I wasn't going to book no weird parties, man. I'll tell you that. Luckily, I got so busy I didn't have to really adhere to any of that
I
stuff.
could see you having an exclusive party for sugar mamas and sugar daddies, and then you create a banner. Welcome all sugar daddies and sugar mamas.
Do you see what he says here?
What really sweat my willy is how complicated we can make things in simple. Yeah, that's true. I don't know about the wet willy, my willy. But anyhow, Ray, keep that to yourself. Zip that thing up or whatever. I don't know. And by the way, Sandy is our guest on Friday. So
Yes.
Fair warning, Sandy, that I'm going to let you know about one of the phrases for Friday's show. I just wrote it down. It's sugar daddies and sugar mamas. So be thinking about that leading up to Friday. That is going in the bag of phrases we will talk about for our Friday improv style show.
Oh my gosh, it's so funny. I'm going to actually upload the picture here as I speak of Sandy.
It's a little bit early yet. Let's reveal that tomorrow.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I just stuck that on there. So anyways, but yeah. Oh, I'm just laughing over here. We've got everybody feisty, and I don't know, is there a moon out or something?
Who knows? It's called the health crisis. Everybody's like frantic to get outside and see things moving forward. Ryan, are you saying fair is enforcement? How did you know, Helen? How did you know? How did you know that my favorite ingredient to get at the grocery store is sugar? How did you know that? She's reading me like a stop sign.
Well, you know why? Because you already told her you didn't like spicy, so you might like sweet instead of spicy. See, that's what it was. She's doing some detective work there. That's all.
Apparently, wow, she's on. And I gotta close off all my social channels. Apparently, make them private.
She's very intellectual.
Very intellectual. Very, very well said. Very well done, Helen. Very well done.
Hey, she was back in the day. She was really into softball. That's all I gotta say.
I'm not saying anymore because I don't know anything about Helen, but she's giving me a run for my money so far, so that's good.
Yeah.
How do you know Helen, by the way?
I went to school with her, 9th grade, 9th to 10th grade. Yeah. So I should have graduated with her, but I graduated a year early. So
okay. Well, anybody friends with you, one could.
Well, hey, I don't vouch for all my friends. I'll say that. Oh yeah, we did play softball together. Oh shit. Hey, I only played 1 year softball with her. That's all I got.
Just imagine like the young girls like, hey, where's the good wood around here?
Well, actually, it was looking across the field to the baseball. Yeah, the baseball boys were on the other side of us. Yes.
You're like, ooh, look at that wood. No. I'm talking about his bat.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So simplicity, back to regularly scheduled programming. So simplicity, I think that we bring it on ourselves. It's an accumulation of moments when you're not, if you don't set any boundaries, and I know that this might be more academia than it is actually what happens, in the real world, where it's like, okay, here are my boundaries. Do you like them or not? Right? It's not anything that you tell anybody, but inside of yourself is like, here's how I'd like to be treated. Here's how I'm going to treat other people. And you don't waver. That's why I think where you might have a few more acquaintances than really good friends, or you might have this like dip or imbalance of people where not everybody's on the same page, right? There's some people that you can tell deep, dark stuff to, like the sense of a true friend is when they will bail you out of jail, without any questions asked. Um, but I think that friendships and relationships can be simple, but obviously the human element gets in the way, right? These get in the way, the brain, the feelings, all of that gets in the way of making it simple.
Yeah. And I'm not sure why we do that, except like, our brain loves to go to the negative side of things
All right.
or find fault.
Mm-hmm.
So but there's so many good people out there that when you meet, you have their chemistry, when your energy is equal, it's simple, I think if you have that preconception thing of, oh, there's Brian, and rah, 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 you're going to have that rah, rah, rah kind of relationship. Or if you're excited to see that person, you're going to have that excited. So I think what you bring to the table, always comes out to whether there's friction or not. And it should be that simple as far as, and then we get into, well, I remember that week that you were mean to me. And then holding that, we forget why we were friends to begin with. And I
Right.
mean, that's really, you get all those layers built on there, and then you have problems with letting go when it was a good day or when it was a bad day. Reminds me of my grandkids, they get together, they're 8 months apart, and one says one thing to the other one says another thing, and then they miss each other, and then they play again, and then they bring something back up. It just gets to be very, very
When you
daunting.
when you start to agreed, I dealt with this situation yesterday. I had to put a boundary because of my emotions. I misspoke and had to create it because of me. Yeah.
Mm.
I think that the more the more that you waver from whatever those boundaries are, the more that you're going to run into problems or friction or just an imbalance where you start to look at yourself as far as maybe I'm wrong, right? You start self-assessing when if it's a clean slate and it goes to your core and your belief system, and kind of like when I was wanted to meet somebody, I'd be honest and upfront about who I am, my deal breakers, must haves, things I don't tolerate, and by putting them out there right away sets the stage because, as I mentioned in previous shows, is I don't want to waste anybody's time, right?
Right.
By being misleading or, miscommunicating or any of that. I don't want that. So why would I do it to anybody else, right? If I'm
Right.
hearing this from women that's one thing they don't like about men, well, ding, ding, ding. I don't want to do that to anybody else.
Yeah.
Relationships are hard because our hearts don't always work together. They challenge each other in different phases of the relationship. You know, I also think too is that are we solid in our feelings? Are we in touch with our intuition, our gut? Right? I think that there are ways to actually be in touch with that. Right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like moving on to a relationship when you're not ready, or maybe something else is lacking that you think that the relationship will overcome. Right? Like the difference between if you're in an intimate relationship, wanting to be with somebody versus needing to be with somebody. Those are two entirely different reasons, right? One is probably going to be detrimental to something that's unfulfilled or incomplete, and another one is for the right reason. But with anything that our heart gets involved in, yeah, it's going to be tough because when you take every single thing that happens and you marry it with emotion, if it does not go well, you have to overcome the emotion, just like with what happened, like the outcome of it all. So, um, I to keep it simple, I now this is not written in a textbook. Everybody's going to have different experiences about what they've learned throughout relationships and friendships. But for me, when you can keep it simple, whatever that looks like, you can immediately think about that person and know why they matter to you. You don't have to go on and on and on or try to find something, but with all the murkiness of the things that you wish were better, right? And I know that some of my stuff might be more black and white, but we ourselves either complete any drama or indifference, and we redirect to positive, and like we talked about several weeks ago with the open road, right? Is there a lot of obstacles to overcome? Are we diffusing those obstacles, or are we just letting them compound? Because if we let them compound, eventually we're not going to know the root of why I feel this way or why that other person feels this way. And good luck trying to dive into all of that, because those feelings are everything that is, the feelings are the defense mechanism from really looking at what's there or what's missing. So keeping it simple, kind of like when if you had, I mean, one of the simple ways is that whenever you don't feel like you're heard, or, somebody stands you up for a coffee break or whatever it is like to check in with them. Don't let those things go unexamined, because I guarantee it's going to come back much more powerful in the future, because you're going to have to overcome it in order to engage with that person again. If you just wash it and set it aside, I guarantee it's going to come back. That's the thing I think are a lot of rebound relationships that create friction and negativity, especially when that other individual isn't disclosing from the beginning, is leading the person on. Yeah. I mean, I had this discussion with my girlfriend, when she was looking for somebody, and it boggles my mind when people misrepresent themselves and then they want somebody to take them seriously if they get a chance to engage with them, like go out to dinner or coffee or whatever, right? It's like, wait a minute, you misrepresented yourself the whole time to somehow coerce somebody to see something different in you than what was there. How seriously are they going to take you if they do actually meet with you and none of what you said or very little of it is truthful?
Well, people sometimes think, like you said before, sometimes people say what they think people want to hear instead of truly being honest with them.
Correct.
And, and people are so into codependency in relationships.
Right.
Like so many people out there, especially in the 50s, that are like, but I got to have somebody in my life. Yeah. I got, even if the shit makes miserable, I got to have somebody in my life, Right. And it's like, it is.
That's one of the most disappointing things to me, is when if you have to be somebody other, or where that comes from. Where is the root of that in your DNA, that you have to be somebody other than who you are, right?
Because with expectations, people expect too much from people that are not fitting the mold.
But here's the problem. Eventually they'll find out.
No shit.
Well, eventually they'll find out. So why are you wasting people's time?
Yeah. That's why I think really, like, speed dating is great. I think spending 15 minutes to talk to somebody, and this is the shit, and this is whatever, you can save yourself so much time in life. Yep. And, I wish I would have known that shit a long time ago.
When I met my girlfriend, I met her 2 days after I met her online. We met in person, because she's like, hey, I don't want to talk to you and exchange messages and banter back and forth via the email or whatever it is. Let's just meet.
Yeah, get it over.
To the point.
Yeah.
Enough of this nonsense back and forth, and I want to be hidden behind the system or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's really good.
It's the artist in the relationship one chooses to represent instead of their truth. Yeah. But I mean, why do they have to be phony? I'm finally at a point to want someone who likes me authentically. Yeah, and you should be able to, show up as you are with no apologies. And
yeah.
And it, like let's say, I don't know, you're running behind, or you ran into traffic, or I don't know, you broke a nail, or your high heels, broke off or something. You should be willing to just show up and be like, hey, you ever had it be where your high heels broke on the way to a date?
Yeah.
Somebody should be willing and able to harmonize with you, in that space, regardless of what happens.
Absolutely.
They're not judging you. They're not assessing you. None of that.
Yeah. I mean, put everything on the table and see where it goes from there is the best policy.
Well, I was in the improv class last night, and it's all about creativity. And anybody that's ever done an improv class, that when you enter an improv class, you suspend any reality. You suspend reality. You suspend any judgments, assessments, things that make sense versus things that don't make sense. And you suspend all that. That is one of the few times when you can actually engage in something where you don't have to worry about the world at large. And I feel that in relationships and friendships, in order to keep it simple, you have to suspend worrying about how somebody's going to view you, because if you are worrying about that, you're probably not being authentic.
Yeah. My local friend here, Angel's on here.
Angel says, I think the level of authenticity coincides with your level of maturity. Yeah.
Yeah. I love Angel. I don't get to spend much time with her, but she's what you call simplicity and friendship.
Mhm.
She tells you how it is.
Yep.
You just know where you stand. I mean, she actually refinanced my mortgage a few years
Wow.
back, but she's just an amazing person. And what I love is she gets rid of a lot of people in her life pretty damn fast because of it. So I
Well, an
really,
Angel, you bring into we'll get to Sandy's comment in a second, but I think that she brings up something where um the mature, like let's say it's an online dating thing, right? Just as an example or context, is that the authenticity is what you're looking for first, but after that you see the maturity. Like the maturity is the root, but you don't know they're mature. I mean, you would hopefully, like, if you're trying to date somebody or meet somebody, that they're mature. But I think your
aw,
projection of,
I
but
love you, Angel.
absolutely, but in order to identify their maturity level, you're taking them at their authenticity. So the authenticity of them leads to the root, which is their maturity. Absolutely, yeah. You're authentic and not high maintenance.
Ditto, I love you so much. We gotta get together before I leave town.
What
So
did
back to
what did
Sandy.
Sandy say? Hole in my hosiery. That was embarrassing. See, but maturity is key. Yeah. I mean,
Uh,
it's unfortunate that games and all this nonsense, and it's like when it's like people that second guess themselves. Like we've been so conditioned and programmed as people, where you know people are running late, or they got excuses, or they got blame. So if somebody shows up early, authentic, and real, somebody's gonna walk outside and be like, "Wow, are you for real?" It's like they second guess themselves, like that this is too good to become true, right? Take off the hosiery and on your absolutely.
uh,
But
we gotta have Angel on our show too. You'll
but
just love her.
but it just but to me it's like if somebody shows up by the things that somebody wants, but they didn't know existed, because it there's always shortcomings and people got excuses and they fell asleep and they were supposed to be at a date. And if somebody just does and is who they say that they are, it'll blow a lot of people away because it's so rare.
Yeah.
Like to follow through on what comes out of your mouth and who you are leaves a lot of people dumbfounded and probably saying like, uh, wow, are you for real? Not in a bad way, in a way that it's so rare that it shows up that way.
Trust me, Brian, I get that a lot here in Montana, including the fact because I'm from New York. So even when I had my lingerie business, people would say that and they're like, man, are you really for real? And you're nice and everything. And it's just like, yeah, and you don't get it just, I'm always going against the grain with that, and that's okay.
Mhm.
But, like I said, I mean, I did my book in 3 weeks. That's all I got to say, which, it's one of those things where I love making these challenges for myself and not for anybody else, not to be paired up or to match up to anybody, but it's competing within myself. And simplicity in a friendship. I mean, like I can call Angel and say, "Hey, let's go meet for lunch," and we do, and
Yeah.
we catch up. And it just, there's just a lot of love there. It's not complex at
What do you
all.
think makes it simple? What do
Be-
you think are a few of the components that make it simple?
what makes it simple is that we can both be very vulnerable with each other and just share anything we have to say. We don't judge each other. We are, it's cool. I'm Puerto Rican. She's Native American. And people don't know she's Native American. People don't know I'm Puerto Rican. And we just sit there and we kind of laugh. I mean,
Cool.
that's like an inside joke in the sense that, we know what it is to be judged by what other people think and not what they know. And
Yeah.
so what makes it simple is we don't even need to talk about that. That's just what exists around us, and we just enjoy just being
Mhm.
and realizing how difficult everybody else makes it. So yeah, so it's I would sum it that way.
On your doors. That's
Yeah,
you and I too, PRG.
and she goes, we don't have to talk every day, but when we do, it's like we haven't missed a moment. Absolutely.
Well, I think that you kind of coined it a little bit too, is that she doesn't mix words. You
Yeah.
don't mix words either, so it's like
No.
that's another layer of why it
We
works.
we love it. We can actually like sit there and look at each other and not have to say a word. And
Awesome.
well, it's just like you look at Brian when we met 20 minutes. We're doing a show together. I mean, it's just I really feel that people should go with what flows, and if it doesn't flow, it doesn't go. And
That just rhymed.
yeah, flow and go. Yep. And I'm not talking about no monthly cycle either. It's a weird.
Why did you have to ruin the joke in the line? That's not a punchline. You just ruined the whole statement. It's what they call let it breathe.
Oh, shit.
It's like you got the pot that's steaming, now you got to put the top on it. Come on. No. Oh Lord. Oh Lord.
I think we're all in rare form today, and that's okay.
I don't know about you. Well, I know about myself, but
Oh my gosh,
I don't know where that came from,
There
but
we go.
anyhow.
Oh my gosh.
Let's screw up out of Oh, Angel. Oh, wow. It's interesting that the only guy that's commenting about in the past minute was Ray. That's about it.
Yeah, the other guys they've left.
Like what? They're like, ooh, I'm out of here.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh.
Never would have thought that the topic of simplicity would be a female-only show.
Simplicity today is just simply laughing today. I think that's what we're loving. We're going with just laughter today and showing, engaging
and we're
with
dealing with the female menstrual cycle.
And talk about sugar daddies. We're talking about
it's all around this, this bubble.
Yeah, I mean,
It's like
it's
a
a real and raw show. What do you expect?
I don't know how we get sugar mamas and sugar daddies out of simplicity, but we're gonna run with it.
Oh my gosh, I gotta still laugh today about my shirt. It's like a big shirt, like it's like 4 times the shirt it should be. But all I keep noticing how big the collar is.
Well, why do you have a shirt that's 4 times?
Because I just grabbed something out of the dresser, so it's going in the garbage after this. So, anyways.
Well, I'm glad you put clothes on for our show, Lynn.
Yeah, right.
I mean, we do have some standards for the show,
Yeah, I just drove over to my daughter's house. I mean, whatever. Speaking of cycles.
Speaking of cycles, I gotta go load my horse to see if she's close to hers, so we can get another day. Oh wow!
I love you, Angel. Yeah, Ray Lee wants to come over and see your new horse too, your new baby. So thanks for stopping by, Angel. I appreciate you, and we'd love to have you on the show sometime.
Mm-hmm.
She's the owner of the Red Rooster out here too, a bar. So it'll be fun to have her on the show.
I thought we couldn't trump what we were just talking about. Red Rooster might be that's a word for Sandy on Friday. Red Rooster.
Yeah.
Well, what's the context? Just go where the mind may go.
Yeah, there you go. Sandy's watching. She's trying to prepare for
Red Rooster, sugar mama, sugar daddies. What?
Go Flo.
Yeah. I can only imagine how much the views or searches for like sugar mama and sugar daddy dating sites is going to blow up as a result of our show.
And then we show up on the search engine for saying it on our show.
Oh no!
For YouTube.
Real and raw, yeah. Oh. We're going to transcribe what I'm saying, so I'm not going to mention it.
Oh my goodness! Yeah.
Well, actually, there's I'll take a picture and I'll put it in. We might have to share it with the group, but a couple miles down from me, there's actually, believe it or not, an actual bar that usually has nobody at it. And they serve food now. Wow. But it's called the Red Rooster.
Sweet.
I'll have to take a picture of that, just like I did with all my different gear setups, from mobile.
Yes, that would be cool, because I still have those in here too.
I think we need a sound effect in our next video. We need a rooster in our promo video.
Oh my gosh, that would be hysterical.
Like
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so simplicity. I mean, I don't want to regurgitate what we talked about, but we are what we make it, what we tolerate, what we not. It's good. What did Sandy say?
Oh, she said it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, I can't
Can't
wait.
wait.
Excellent. Yeah, look at her. She's like, why are our roosters red?
I,
Ray,
I, I'm.
why don't we Google that? Yeah,
Should I dare?
why are rooster? Yeah, sure, why not?
Okay, I'll do that. You keep talking.
We're gonna have a little audience participation here. We're kind of curious, so we're
Okay.
gonna go to the old Google
Google.
for why are roosters red? We inquiring minds want to know because there's bars named after the red rooster. It's a terminology. It's an actual real life being or animal. But yeah, simplicity in friendships and relationships. It is what you make of it. If we are taken advantage of in either of those, I think that there was a lack of boundaries, lessons learned. Like if we've ever been wronged or if we ever had an upset from somebody that we feel like belittled us or we had an indifference with, we carry that through. We either complete it ourselves and just let it go, or but also they'll take the lessons that we got from it, or they only just manifest and they push us further away from actually being authentic, perhaps, instead of being vulnerable, without a guard or filter, of us being close to people versus having a little
Oh,
separation.
that didn't copy well. Hold on a second.
So Lynn at the moment is looking for the definition, or why is a rooster red. So that's what she's doing right now. And yeah, but the relationships and friendships about simplicity is when you can. And I also think too is that it's not only about boundaries, but as Lynn talked about with her friend Angel that was just on it, it's about how you're wired as people. I think that has a lot to do with it as well. Is that you think alike, you relate in such a way, you can go any amount of time and just connect as if you just got done talking. It could have been years, but you pick up where you left off. So I think a lot of that has to do with how simple something can be.
I don't know if this is right. Here we go.
If it's just red skin, it's just age. The exposed skin gets red like the comb sometimes. He probably wears the feathers off. So it's just
Oh,
or it's the age, so it might be a maturity thing. Hmm, very cool.
oh, let's see. Oh, let's see. Carrie. Hi,
Hey,
Carrie.
Gary, I'm afraid of hurting feelings. Yeah. Well, I also I don't know the circumstance or whatever, but there might be a lack of communication in that, right? It's not simple. No, it's not simple at all. I mean, every context is a little bit different. Feelings are always going to be at stake, no matter if it's a intimate relationship or somebody you know for a long
But,
time or whatever.
but, but if you're welcome, Ray. But this is it though. I think a really good relationship can be honest. And I mean, Carrie and I have been honest on the show, and we've talked in the past. I
Right.
think when you can take for a minute and forget your emotions on what somebody's telling you, but you could stop for a minute and say, oh my gosh, this person was able to tell me something that I could either fix in the relationship or something that bothered them. I take it and I look at it in a different perspective. I look at it like, wow, I'm so glad they shared their feelings about that with me
Right.
so that I know better to do better
Hmm.
and that it can make the relationship better by understanding what that means to them or what's going on. And I think if it wasn't for all the things I've been through in my life, to know that people may have not known why I would act a certain way or why I would get upset about things or triggers without
Hmm.
them knowing. And so I really appreciate when people tell me things because I realize that if only I felt like I could explain myself or if they understood what I've been through, then I wouldn't have had the misunderstanding. I think that's why the relationships with me are so much easier because I just know not to ask all those annoying questions of someone until they're ready to talk to me because I didn't like to be asked
Right.
questions when I wasn't ready to talk. So,
Sure. I can to everyone, but not my husband. Yeah.
yeah, well,
I
yeah,
mean, like feelings and whatnot. It's like and this is all psychology coming through. But it's like when it comes down to feelings, it's a powerful question that needs to be asked. Is that are they aware of your feelings at this present in time,
mhm.
or Are they, and if they're aware of them, do they disregard them? What do they do when you bring them up? Or is it completely something that they're not aware of? Like
Right.
literally that they've said that you've said, here is how I feel versus
Well,
assumptions and all that, because there's a big difference there between those two.
and the problem is when you're talking to somebody narcissistic or somebody that just feels like because you're sharing your feelings, it's all about them.
Right.
They're not listening to you. That's the big thing to realize. They're not listening. When you say this is how I feel, they should like, oh, I need to listen to this. I want to know how you feel. But if they're like, oh, well, screw that and blah, 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 then it's all about them and they're not into what it is about you
I
that you're
I
going.
also think that the time in which this is done, but you know what I mean? Like depending on how a couple relates or the time that they're working and when they decompress or whatever, if somebody is trying to communicate something that goes to their core, but the other person is going to get a haircut or they just got home from grocery shopping, right? I'm not making excuses. I'm just giving examples where the person may not be listening to you, but they're not, it hasn't been, you know what I mean? Like, this is time for us. Like, we're going to
Mhm.
carve out some space for us to talk versus here's how I feel, but the person's mind is everywhere. It's not excuses. I just think that the context is not the best way,
Well,
right?
you know,
It's almost like in passing,
well, I think sometimes what you need to do is to say, instead of saying, Brian, this is how I feel, I'd have to say, hey, Brian, how would you feel about this situation if it was you? Sometimes if you say it to them, hey, Brian, how would you feel if somebody treated you like this?
Mhm.
Then you're like, oh, you're asking me how I would feel. Okay. Because that's just the way they can understand things. And not even because they're narcissistic, but because they think they're talking about somebody that doesn't concern them. So if you turn it around and say, hey, Brian, how would you feel if this was done to you? You're getting their input. And I've done this with certain relationships, and they go, well, I wouldn't like that at all. And I'm like, yeah, I don't like that at all. And they're like, what do you mean? Because that's what you do to me.
Well, and let's also be honest too, is that the atmosphere. If
Yeah,
somebody's feelings are at stake and they've been grinding on it, they've been thinking about it forever. Well, the other person needs a catch up.
right,
Their mind hasn't been in it for a long time or whatever, right? So I mean, and if they come home from work, I mean, I'm not making excuses. I'm just trying to set the context.
right, right.
That if somebody's mind has been on it for a long time and it goes to their core, that's they've been in it for so long that they just expect that person to show up and be in that same space without, we're going to carve out some space, just you and I, no distractions, whatever, right? But I don't think it's practical to expect somebody that doesn't know or just got home from work and they need a time to take a shower or whatever to be on the same page with you. I don't see it. I don't see how that happens, right?
Yeah,
Without it being something that's prompted. Because if
yeah,
somebody's mindset has been in it for so long, that other person, if they are aware of the feelings, that's one thing. But if they're completely blown away by not knowing, somebody that's been grinding on it for so long, and then hey, they're bringing it to somebody that's totally unaware, they need a little catching up to do. They
yeah,
need a little safety zone to get up to speed.
right.
Carrie
Well,
says he takes it personally rather than listen to how I feel.
yeah, and so that's why I said might have to rechange your words and say, hey, how would you feel about this? Can I ask your opinion about this? And how would you feel? How would you handle this?
Right.
And sometimes it just gets them off guard. If you're using the same script with somebody, they get desensitized. They get to the point where they're like, oh, and they're going to a trigger of I know how this conversation is going to go.
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes friction before it becomes a resolve. So I really believe that if getting off the track of what you normally do and say onto another really helps well, why would you ask that? Even if you ask that question, because then you're getting their viewpoint on the whole situation. And you might learn something by their viewpoint. And you might also find out that they say, well, something like that doesn't bother me because I don't ever listen. I mean, there's clues and things, but you got to be willing to listen to the answers when you ask that way.
Right.
So, and then Helen's got a question here.
Simplicity in friendships and relationships means no sugar daddy and mamas, means no drama, because we are not competing for an Academy Award. No menstruation cycles means no immaturity. It means be yourself in order to establish and express a communicative, honest, respectful, positive relationship. Absolutely. 100%. 100%, Helen. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, Carrie, I'd really, Lynn and I both appreciate you being vulnerable. The only thing that comes to mind is that he doesn't listen, or whatever she just said recently, is that he doesn't listen to, or whatever,
He doesn't
or he
listen
takes it
how she
personal.
feels.
Now, is this something that's been ongoing? Is this brand new? Are you, is he triggered by something like an assumption? I mean, I'm shooting darts at a blind board
Yeah.
right
Yeah.
now, but he takes it personally. Well, why does he take it personally? Is it something that he doesn't know about? Is he not in the right space to actually have a conversation about? Is he not an emotional person? You know what I mean? There's a lot of things that, in order to really get to the source of it without knowing your situation, that would allow to understand a little bit more,
Right.
you know?
But but when all else fails, I think in a relationship, the relationships I've coached and helped is that people don't put themselves in their spouses or their significant others' standpoint, and it's always just a couple things that have been missing
Right.
that have made a big difference.
Mm-hmm.
And that is realizing that if you could try to maybe see it from his perspective and why he, so when he doesn't listen, say, so why don't you listen? Or how would you feel if you're telling me something and I don't listen? I mean, you've got to try different, you could be visual, he could be audio, or he could be audio and you could be visual. You
Well,
need to find the language that you guys can communicate on.
Well, in from some of the training that I've taken over the years, don't look for what's there. Look for what's missing.
Right.
When you find out what's missing and like really do a look at it, right?
Mhm.
What's missing specifically for you guys? Is it time together? Is it time to talk? When you guys do talk, is it with a whole bunch of distractions and you're not able to be together? Is it carved out on your calendars, right? When you get those feelings, Carrie, what is missing from it? You know what I mean? Because there's a root of everything.
Yeah.
Hopefully that helps. But Lynn and I both appreciate your vulnerability with this.
Yeah, we do. And give me a call later. Just what's missing.
Yeah,
You
what's missing?
sometimes what's missing in a conversation is we come into a conversation with both having our baggage, our agenda, and what we want to say, and we say and we're so busy just saying what we want to say that we're not absorbing what else is being said.
Correct.
He may not.
He doesn't know how to talk.
Yeah. Well, sometimes, and I'm like this too, because sometimes I can't talk. And there's Coachman here. Nice
Coach,
to see you.
green tea cheers,
Sometimes,
buddy.
sometimes him not being able to talk is his way of saying, I don't have anything I can add to this that's going to make this any better. And so,
Now, Carrie, I'm
yeah,
curious, and this
she
is
says
just
he hides, but I would be
my
that a
question
lot.
is, why does he hide?
He probably doesn't want confrontation.
Is
Um,
is he emotional person? You know, it we don't know the circumstances, but it's like, why does he
yeah,
hide? Why doesn't he talk? Is he not an
yeah,
emotional person? Is it something where he might feel ashamed? Is he
yeah.
embarrassed by it? Is
Well,
he totally like, is he like, I don't know how to handle the situation and I don't want to communicate it to you,
so so
right?
he's probably what I am is considered an introvert. He's probably an introvert, and articulating your feelings is something that doesn't come natural to him. So it's
Right.
who's to say he's not listening to you, Carrie, but he doesn't know how to respond.
Correct.
Therefore, he stays silent, and
Correct.
that's how I've been a lot of my life. So I can
Well,
relate to that.
here's a consideration, Carrie, and we've talked about this in previous shows, is what's missing in your circumstance might be for him to feel heard. I don't know how often you guys have these conversations, or Michelle's here. how often you guys have these conversations or it's brought up, but eventually somebody's going to shut down because it shows up the same way all the time, right?
Yeah.
How many times is it? Okay, so right there, I'm
See,
talking.
yeah.
Okay, so you're you're trying to talk to him when that might not be that
He might be a listener, and that's
right.
it.
But here's the thing: is that by talking more, it's not getting him to.
Right.
So consider, and I don't know how to do this. I mean, it's a delicate balance, especially like if they feel like they're not heard, they're not going to talk. Even if they don't know how to talk or don't want to talk about it, is that he needs to feel heard.
Yep.
And
Yep.
that's going to take potentially every fiber of him, because somewhere in his brain he's back,
Right.
he's
Right.
resistant.
Right. But
And
what
that
I mean is,
and so you're talking and he's backing up, so it's like you're not coming together, you're
right.
slowly but surely backing away.
Yep. Yep. So that's exactly it. I know how that is, because sometimes it's easier to not say nothing and put fuel on the fire. And it doesn't mean that he's not listening to you.
Right.
It's just he just doesn't know how, to respond. And I mean, that's where it's a little difficult, is when you have somebody that's an introvert and one's an extrovert, and trying to find that even ground of like, I love being around extroverts, but sometimes it's too much me being an introvert. I'm like, I need my space, I gotta go, I can't handle this.
So
So
Carrie, I'm going to give you a recommendation or something to consider. The next time you talk, is it her husband? Is it her
yes,
husband?
husband.
Okay.
Yeah, her husband.
Next time you talk to your husband, have the whole conversation be about him, not about your agenda, about him. That you're just there, a space to listen. You're just there prompting him. Your cadence is delicate. There's nowhere to be, there's nowhere to go. Maybe cook him his favorite meal, right? Like little things that you don't have to say in order for him to know that you care. So he feels heard.
Yeah, that's true too. That'll
You know what I
help.
mean? Because if it's you have to do something other than what you normally do, because he already knows that way.
Right.
And so for him to feel heard, I would be curious if you did something where, because his feelings are potentially so locked up that
Hmm.
he doesn't, he's came to a place where he may not know how to communicate because he's introverted, right?
Yeah.
But if he knows and he feels, this is a feeling thing. This is not, well, I'm on his side of the fence. No, it's
No.
on his terms. It's his feelings that need to be there. They need to emerge, right? Because they keep coming at him and expecting him to talk to you isn't going to work. It's only going to make the division further away from you guys.
Yeah.
So
It,
consider that you make a whole interaction about him. Now, it might not be just one, it might take several, but you show up in such a way to him that he's heard, he's understood, he feels comfortable to bring out what he's withholding from you.
it's funny you say all this, because there's certain friends that, if I want to have somebody on the phone, but I don't really want to talk, I call this one person. If I want to be Gabby, I'll talk to another person. It just really depends. And I love when I talk to Carrie, because Carrie loves to talk, and sometimes I just I let her just talk and I listen. That's great. But if I'm being talkative, I don't want to talk to her, because I'm going to talk over her. So I mean,
Yeah.
that's how an introvert is. I mean, it's like we've got those. It just, I can't even explain it, but that's why I'm like a chameleon around the group. So I'm like, I can only take so much, and then it's just too much for me.
Carrie, let me ask you a question, and feel free to answer if you wouldn't mind. But have you ever created a space for him to just communicate, or where he felt comfortable that you carved out some time and just said, "Hey, I'm going to set my agenda aside, and I
Yeah.
just want you to show up and talk to me.
Yeah.
I got no agenda. I want you to talk to me about, and you're willing to set aside your feelings, your assumptions, your judgments, all of that." And even maybe bite your own lip because you want to say something, right? Because you like to talk. But have you ever done that before?
I love when my friends call me and they have a situation, because I sit there for a minute and I'm like, wow, they're coming to me with what they're thinking or how they feel. And I enjoy that, and then I try to listen to see how I can help. But that's what an introvert will do,
Correct.
and so she says he doesn't. But here, let's see. We're running almost out of time to read all this.
Yeah.
Uh,
But Carrie, that would be my recommendation, and
yeah.
it's probably not going to happen. I don't know how long this has been going on, but any movement is going to be better than none.
Yeah.
But I'd be willing to suspect that he doesn't feel like he's heard or that his feelings matter.
Well, I say at this point, because they've been married at, gosh, 25 years or something,
Wow.
quite over 20 years or whatever. So, at this point, when we're talking about simplicity, if right now you can keep it as simple as you can and try something a little bit different,
Yep.
and realize, maybe call Lynn or call somebody or whatever to talk to, and just give him a quiet space when he comes or whatever. I mean, like, it's one of those difficult things where, if you don't, 27 years she's been married. So, yeah.
Well,
So,
and something I just want to point out just by language is that you want an outcome. You want some kind of outcome out of this, right? You want to be heard yourself, Carrie.
right, validation. Yeah.
But it's just an observation that I see is that he doesn't. He. To somebody that's introverted, consider that they feel like they're alone or
Yeah.
that it's a stacked deck against them.
Mhm.
That's not going to make any introvert want to come out and share.
No,
Not
it
at all.
makes you revert so much in.
Instead of we,
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
we're going to get through this. We're dealing with this. We're talking or we're not
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah.
It might be only a word difference of language, but to a person that doesn't share, just an observation, just by what, he doesn't. How would he feel about that when it's like the finger might be pointed at him,
Yeah.
you know?
I mean,
Just
that
an
that was
observation.
always, yeah, and that was always difficult if I talking to Ricky for hours on the phone and I'm not saying nothing. Is there anything wrong? No, if you want to stay space with me right now, I just want quiet time with you. I love quiet time with my friends.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. So it's hard. It's hard when you're an introvert to try to be, out there with people. I've got, it's difficult. It's not something that people around them they have to understand. It's not about them.
Now,
It's about,
Carrie,
you
here's
know,
another question as well to consider, that if you're willing to, in future conversations with your husband, is that you make it about him opening up, right? Are you okay, honestly, with what he has to say, regardless of what it is?
yeah,
That's another big thing, because that whatever he says may or may not be accepted, or then you want to overcome it by justifications, reasons, and all of that, which isn't going to go anywhere.
and opposites attract. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I mean, it's just, but that's one of the conflict in the relationship when you have somebody talkative and when somebody that's not,
Correct.
is that one person likes to have the person be the spokesperson and the other person likes to support the spokesperson.
But
Go ahead.
also, though, there's a moment in time where when that person doesn't feel heard, or
Mhm.
something happens repeatedly that they don't feel like it matters or it makes a difference. So then
Right.
that's when they withdraw.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Unequivocally correct.
And then so you don't know what they're thinking. They just deal with whatever's there.
Mhm.
And they harbor all these feelings and thoughts, and who
Yeah.
knows what they do, to
Relieve
deal
it.
with that.
Mhm.
I mean, maybe it's golf, maybe it's I don't know, working long hours, so they don't want to deal with it, so they cope with it in other ways.
Yeah.
Because either they're coping with it with something they do outside of work, or they just harbor all this stuff, and you can see it by their eating patterns, drinking patterns, whatever. Because the human mind can only deal with so much.
Yes.
Body can only deal with so much.
Absolutely.
Right. Yeah.
Thank you, Ray. I'm sorry we're running out of time here, but another great topic and show, and
I
we
mean,
look
and I
forward.
want to say one more time, is that,
Yes.
Carrie, Hopefully this helps you. Thank you for being vulnerable. And I would just maybe give some thought, or encourage you to carve out a space for your husband to show up. I just want to connect with you. I have no agenda. I would.
Helen, don't give any fuel to the fire, okay?
Okay. Oh, yeah, Ray doesn't need any suggestion.
Anyways, I think on that note, I think it's time for us to pop out
Lynn's
here.
ready to go now. It got a little.
Yeah, it's over an hour, you guys. It's just got to go.
Yeah.
Anyways, you guys, thank you so much for being here. We look forward to having you tomorrow. And keep it as simple as you can. And even for the most complex relationships, if you take it back to the basics of reminisce from the good times and how simple it was, and that might rekindle where you can pick up your friendship from there. Because I find, go ahead.
No, go ahead, Lynn. Finish up.
So
I have a few.
I just find that it's so much simpler to start with some basics and go and make it simple from there forward.
And just make sure that as a result of today, make your world a no sugar mama or sugar daddy zone.
Gosh, we're out of here. Bye, everybody.